What's up, everybody? Thank you guys so much for tuning in. My name is Chris, and you are at the Do Not Cheat the Process webinar, free webinar. So glad you guys are here tuning in. Listen, before we get started, I'd love to know more about you guys. Where are you guys tuning in from? Where are you watching from? I'm literally in Beaumont, Texas right now shooting this. It's about an hour and a half away from Houston, Texas, if you guys aren't familiar. About 45 minutes from Lake Charles, Louisiana. My wife is from Port Arthur, Texas, land of the trail. Shout out to the Trill. I don't know. Do people say that, or is that weird? The shout out to the Trill. Yeah, I'd love to know where you guys are from, though. In the comments, right where you guys are from, and we'll get ready to dive in. Like I said, my name is Christopher Harp. I am actually the founder and CEO of Harp Media, my own business out here that I've started. It's a marketing agency that specializes in digital marketing. We believe that digital marketing isn't the future, but it's here, it's now. So Facebook ads, Instagram ads, Snapchat stories, all that stuff. We believe in all of that and trying to help gain an investment or return on your investment for companies out here now. So that's what I do. Like I said, I'm married to Lauren Harp. She's actually from Port Arthur, Texas. We have two beautiful boys together, Christopher James and Braxton Alexander, that live out here. And my wife is a teacher, a fourth grade teacher, for a fourth grade writing teacher. So that's just a little bit about us. I'm originally from Albany, Georgia. My mom was in the military. I got transferred to Fort Hood, Texas, which is kind of close by Killeen and Coppers Cove. I grew up in Killeen, Texas, played my high school basketball and stuff out there, and ended up getting a scholarship to play basketball at the next level. But you'll find out more about that information coming up soon in the webinar. But I kind of just want to let you guys know why you guys are here. People are like, hey, what is don't cheat the process? What does that even mean? And for me, that just means enjoy the journey. If wherever you are in life, wherever you are in your situation, whatever season you're in, all it's simply saying is enjoy the journey. I believe that life isn't about one single destination, but the destinations along the journey. So if we can learn to enjoy the process, enjoy the journey, then I think you'll be able to really appreciate everything that's going to happen in your life. So for me, that's it. I got a couple of points that I want to talk about, and we'll get ready to dive in. I guess I will start off with me playing basketball. I played high school basketball at Killeen Ellison. Shout out to every Killeen Ellison person out there. Go Eagles, right? I went to high school out there. I played varsity all 3 years out there. Sophomore, junior, and senior year. And my junior year, I had a really good year. I had a good senior team around me, and I ended up, that was my first year receiving accolades and getting honorable mention and having just a really good season that year. And I remember at the basketball banquet, everybody's dressed up. I'm emotional. I don't know why I was emotional. I was like singing like, it's so hard. I don't know why I was singing that song. But anyways, I was there and I was singing. And I remember my basketball coach at the time, he had called me up and he said, Christopher Harp, everybody goes crazy. They're clapping their hands. And he's naming off the accolades and stuff that I had won. And he was saying, Christopher Harp is a really good basketball player, but I truly believe he's going to be a better communicator. And I was confused. I was like, what do you mean I'm be a better communicator? Like, I just literally got all these accolades for playing basketball. I'm freaking 6'7". Like, I'm a beast, is what I was thinking. And he was just like, Chris will be a really good communicator. You know, we all laughed it off, hugged, and had a great night. And I went on to have an amazing senior season, broke records. We were city champs that year, one of the top 3 players in the city. I got different scholarship offers from different schools, and I ended up going to Dallas Baptist University, Division II back then. It may still be Division II now, but it was a Division II school in Dallas, Texas. I went there, ended up redshirting, didn't have the best career. I was far away from home and didn't have the best season there, so I ended up transferring to a junior college in Waco, Texas, and ball went good. Everything was going good until it was over. My wife had ended up getting pregnant that summer of 2012. She was my girlfriend at the time, or my baby mama, and she ended up getting pregnant. So I dropped out of school in order to start providing and get a job to provide for the family. And this is really, for me, is when the story really starts. I remember my mom and dad gave me $1,000, and as a kid, you thinking $1,000 is a lot of money, and they were like, "Hey, this is $1,000. You know, you're about to start your journey. You know, good luck." And this is my first time not living with my parents, being on my own, trying to figure it out. You know, besides living in the dorms and stuff in college, this is my first time like being on my own. I wasn't on their insurance anymore. They wasn't paying my phone bill. This is like the real world. I didn't know how much milk cost. Milk was is it like $1 something? anyways, I didn't know how much milk cost back then. So like I didn't have to do anything. So now I was on my own with the baby on the way. So I remember moving to Houston, Texas, and this is just crazy how the whole story panels out. I was with a really good friend who was already out there. And true story is I didn't even have enough money to pay my rent every month when rent was coming up. He was just a friend of the family who was well off, and he was every month he was literally carrying us. Like he's like, hey, how much money do you need to get to the next month? And he was literally paying expenses. He was paying for groceries. He was paying for rent. He was doing all of this, and I was like, dang, like this is crazy. I'm out here with this family, and I don't even have enough money to provide for myself and provide for my family. I was working at a cable installation company, installing cables for like $11 or $12 an hour. And that was my first like real job making any money. So I'm like, man, this is good. $11 to $12 an hour, realizing that I didn't even have enough money to take care of my everyday expenses. And kind of when we're talking about that story, kind of a scripture that kind of encouraged me through this season and encouraged me right now in the season that I'm in. And I'm not, I know everyone's not maybe even a believer that's watching this, and wherever you guys and whatever stage you guys are in as you're watching it, you're welcome here. This isn't excluding anyone here, but I just want to talk about how this scripture impacted my life and helped me become the person that I am today and helped me on the journey that I'm on. And I'll go ahead and read it. It's Isaiah 43 verse 19. And it says, behold, I'm doing a new thing. Now it springs forth. Do you not perceive it? And I'm like, every time you hear about somebody getting something new or a new thing, you get excited. Somebody got a new car, you're like, oh, he got a new car. Somebody get a new girl, you're like, oh, he got a new girl. Like it's whenever somebody has something new, it's an exciting thing. So whenever you say the Bible reads something to talking about something new is about to happen, it's easy to get excited. But when I was reading this, I went back to verse 18, and verse 18 says, remember not the former things, nor consider the things of old. And just to give you guys a little backstory on that, the Israelites had just came out of Egypt, and Moses had split the Red Sea. It was a big celebration, and right after that, in the Bible, it's saying, forget those former things. And I was like, what does that mean? So for me, when I was thinking of don't cheat the process, there's a lot of times in life we expect things to happen a certain type of way, and we almost even jump the gun. So the Israelites, they were thinking like, hey, God had split the Red Sea for us. He can do it again if, everybody's hoorahing and celebrating, expecting God to do the same thing. And God didn't do it the way that they expected him to do it. So then they try to make their own way and make their own path. And a lot of times when we're talking about don't cheat the process, this is true for us. We try to figure out a way that we're going to do it ourselves. Like God didn't do it, or God's taking too long. I'm just going to do it this way. This is how I want to do it. I'll make my own way. And that was my life. That was what I became. I knew that God had a plan for me. My mom was always encouraging me and saying, hey, God has a plan for your life. But I strayed away for it, and I'm away from it and began creating my own lifestyle. So we ended up getting married in 2012, a couple days after my birthday, and our relationship just was on a straight roller coaster. I heard a pastor say one time, he said, a lot of people get married and want a 20-year, marriage. And he's like, do you know how long it took you to get a 20-year marriage? 20 years. We want that in the first year, first 2 years. And that was me. I was like, man, I want what I've seen on TV and what I've seen on, movies and stuff like that. But I wasn't even ready to be the husband that I really needed to be for my wife. So we went through a couple of rough years. I mean, they was rough. Like, if my wife was here, she'd be like, they sure was. Like, she from Port Arthur. It was crazy. Anyways, it's like, she was like, they was rough. And we had some rough time. But in those rough times, now I can see, they say hindsight is 20/20, that we went through those things for a reason to help strengthen us now in the season that we're in now. Oh, we've been there before. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's some things that you done went through, and there's some obstacles that you done had. There's some tough seasons you done had, and then you look back on it in hindsight, and you're like, oh, I'm good now. Nah, I've been through it. I'm stronger now. I'm smarter now. And I really believe that if we try to cheat those process, cheat those situations, ignore those things, that we won't be prepared for what we need to be prepared for the next season. So I don't know about you guys. I know you guys may have your own process, and I love to know. We take a break right here in the thing. What are some of the processes that you guys may be struggling with right now? Maybe I'm struggling with, my wife was telling me the other day that whenever a female does the big chop and cuts all her hair off, it's a process to grow the hair back. And I guess Am I saying this right? Shrinkage. You know, females have the shrinkage when they pull their hair out and it comes close, and you get so tempted to want to go and straighten your hair again. But if you let that process, I'm talking about hair like I know about it. I have no clue, no clue at all. Maybe somebody's watching that knows hair and understands what I'm talking about, but it's a process. Whenever if there's somebody that bakes or cooks or anything like that, you know that there's a process when it comes to baking and cooking something. I don't really cook that much. I'm more of a microwave type of person, but I know that if the chicken needs to be cooked all the way through it, you have to put it in the oven for a certain amount of time. I know that whenever we had our boys, that there's an inception process and there's a conception process. Is that right? Conception, inception to make the baby. And then what's is it conception? And conception. So you have the baby and you don't realize that that 9-month process that the baby's inside of the body, it seems like forever, but God is preparing the baby inside of the mother's womb so that when it comes out into this new season, into this new life, it's ready, it's prepared to be able to handle the things that are in this new world. The baby's growing its fingernails, it's growing, its lungs are strengthening, its limbs are growing, its ears, and they need all of those things to be prepared at the next level. There's a lot of times where we don't have everything that we need and we try to prematurely come out of the mother's womb or prematurely jump into the next season of our lives, not realizing that we're going through this struggle, or it seems like this dark place in the womb of our mother. And I'm talking about wombs and I'm talking about our callings, but I'm really just talking right now that we go through these seasons where it's dark and it may be cold and it may be lonely, and we think to ourselves like, this is a lonely season, this is a tough season. But what God is simply doing inside that womb is preparing that baby so when it comes into this world that it's ready. I wasn't trying to preach, I just wanted to talk about that because I thought it was relatable. Like I said, write down your process below. I love to know it. I love to know the struggle that you may be going through, or the process that you're going through. I really believe that God has a plan, for your life. So fast forward 2 years after we was out there in Baytown, I got my first, I say real job, my real job at Papados. It's a seafood restaurant out here in Texas, and there may be some in Georgia, maybe one where you are, but it's a seafood restaurant. And this very rarely happens, but I went in for the interview and he was like, hey, I enjoyed you. I ended up getting a call back the next week. I got the job. I worked as a server, on the floor, just, serving tables for about 2 or 3 months. Then he called me into his office and said, hey, I love your work ethic. I love, what you're doing. I want to make you a manager. That very rarely happens, that someone comes in the 2 or 3 month process, becomes a manager. And I ended up managing a restaurant. It's not a 5-star restaurant, but it's a very nice dining restaurant for the next 3 years. And along those 3 years, I had different struggles. I learned so much there that was preparing me for the next season. I had no clue. And I ended up leaving Papados and going to Chick-fil-A. And I remember leaving Chick-fil-A. I remember coming to Chick-fil-A and, telling them my credentials and what I was doing in the past. And they were saying like, we do have a position that may open up for you. You may or may not be interested in it. Long story short, I ended up jumping into that position and doing the catering and marketing for this company. Chick-fil-A is one of the better companies in the world. Maybe I'm biased, but, it's just a wholesome place. I know you guys seen all the memes and the commercials about how good Chick-fil-A is. And I worked for this amazing company and I learned so much in a short period of time. I jumped straight on and was doing some of their marketing. I had an opportunity to meet some strategic people in the company that were doing crazy things. And I really feel like the whole time now in hindsight, the Lord was preparing me for what he had for me the whole time. And you can't see it when you're in the middle of the process. So I'm just encouraging you guys that it's a process to it. I ended up starting my own company at the top of this year called Heart Media. And like I told you guys earlier, it's a digital marketing company where I can go and create this content for these companies, which I first had to do for Chick-fil-A. So really quick, the person who records all of our videos now, I met him in passing at Chick-fil-A. He had his own company, he still does, and I was working for Chick-fil-A. We linked up and I said, hey, let's do some videos together on Chick-fil-A terms. And then after Chick-fil-A, now we still have this relationship where he shoots all of our videos. And I really believe that if I wouldn't have had Chick-fil-A, if I would have skipped that process, if I would have went somewhere else, I would not have met the person who does all our videos. And it's all about a process. Everything happens for a reason. So one of the biggest things is, I think in order for you to even begin to understand about enjoying the journey, is you have to shift your perspective. Your perspective can no longer stay the same. It has to change to realize that the places that you're going, the journey that you're on, it has a purpose. And if you look at every bad situation that happens as punishment, or God doesn't love me, or this is just why me, then you'll miss the blessing that God has in it. So to go back to the situation that happened when I was at Papados, I worked at Papados for 3 years, and it was a rough 3 years. There was some good times there, and there was some bad times. But one of the things that happened when I was there that just, it was one of the worst things ever, that upset guests. I know you guys, I hope no one watching is an upset guest when you go to a restaurant like this, but you're dealing with these people and they get upset about their food, or upset about the price, or upset about the service. And as a manager, our job was to go over to it and handle it, and just calm down the situation. And we used to call it putting out fires. And when we'd go to these situations, these people would be upset. And I hated those situations. I'm a lover. I don't want any beef. I don't want any drama. I'm not from Port Arthur. I'm from Georgia, so I'm from a small town. So I don't want any of that. So when I go and I interact with that, I'm kind of hesitant. And even still to this day, I still am. But what I realized is during that season, God was preparing me to be able to handle these accounts that I'm dealing with now. That if you can't figure out a way to make the guest happy there at Papados, you won't be able to make your clients happy here at your own company. You missed that. Somebody watching you missed that. God's preparing you for something now in the season you're in now, for where he wants to send you. When God had took them through, the Israelites we talked about earlier, when he had went through the Red Sea, God was preparing them. When they were in the wilderness, he was preparing them the whole time for where he wanted to take them. And if you cheat the process, if you try to eject, alt, delete, if you try to escape, if you try to just get out of it, you're going to miss out on what God has for you. You have to shift your perspective. I heard a scripture say this: rejoice. All my Christian people don't go. Rejoice when you fall into diverse situations, or when trials and stuff hit you from every angle. And in your mind, you're like, rejoice? That don't make any sense. Am I crazy? Am I just, if I get in a car accident, do I just jump out the car and be like, thank you, Jesus? It's not nothing weird like that. It's just saying that know that everything happens for a reason, so you're able to rejoice knowing that God has a plan, that God has a purpose for your life. So the first point is shift your perspective. The next point is identify your why. So for the longest, it was just me, and my wife would tell this story better than me, but I would start something and I would stop it all the time. It's just because I was good at it. I know that I'm good at starting something, and then after a couple months, I'd be like, I'm really not interested anymore, and I would stop it. I did this in my life. I did this in relationships. I would date girls for 4 to 6 months and be like, I'm tired of you. I'm getting ready to move on. I'm just going to stop it. I've always been a starter and a stopper. And if you're just doing whatever you're doing for yourself, you'll always be a starter. You'll always be a stopper. But if you can identify your why, if you can realize that it's bigger than you, if you can realize your purpose, then you'll have something to hold on to grab onto on the days you feel like giving up. So for me, I told you earlier, I have 2 beautiful boys, and they're completely different. One of them is super outgoing, the other one's kind of quiet and timid. And I say quiet and timid, they still fight like boys, but there's some days where I feel like quitting. There's some days where I'm having a hard time. And what happens is I get home and I see them and I realize, oh, this is bigger than me. I can't give up because they're waiting on me. I have a legacy. My oldest boy, his name is Christopher, just like mine. So if I wanted to give up, Christopher is waiting on me. He's depending on me to come through for him. So you have to identify your why. It has to be bigger than you, because if it's just for you, you'll stop and you'll quit. I don't know about you guys, but what are some of your whys? If you guys are watching right now, in the comments below, write down, what are some of your whys? What makes you go? What makes you not want to quit? For some people, maybe their mom. I was a mama's boy growing up, and she still is my why, but she's not greater than my boys. It's just a different drive that I get from them. Or some of you guys, it's legacy. Some of you guys is you got a chip on your shoulder because somebody told you couldn't do it. Whatever that is, identify your why. And then after that, the second thing is you have to grind. You have to work your butt off. I'm so tired of people thinking that you can become successful because you have a gift at something, or because you think that you're talented at something, or you just going to just haphazardly just fall into the right hands at the right time. I believe that God can make that happen, but the truth about it is you have to be grinding and working your tail off. I wouldn't be where I am today if I wasn't working hard, if I didn't make up in my mind that I'm going to get up every day and go and do it and go and do it and go and do it. Even when I was working 9 to 5, I would have to get off that 9 to 5, get home, and still go, because I was so obsessed with just working hard. I knew that I didn't want to be outworked by anybody. I didn't want to have to look at my boys saying like, yeah, the reason we couldn't do this is because I let such and such across the street outwork me. I couldn't live with myself if that was the case. Some of you guys are not where you want to be at in life because you refuse to work hard. You enjoy sleeping over grinding. You enjoy your comfort over the tough days, the days where you don't want to work. You're not grinding. In order for you to be successful, you have to grind. For how long? I don't know. You got to just grind. It's a part of the process. You cannot cheat the process. I think the game knows. The game knows if you put your time in or not, and you have to put your time in. All of the greats that we love to watch and all of our inspirations and stuff like that, they work hard. Beyonce, I remember hearing her story for the first time that there was a day she was working so hard that she forgot to eat. You know how hard you got to be working to forget to eat? Like, I'm working hard. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm working hard, but I don't forget. I never forget to eat. They're eating right now on the set. That you don't forget to eat. She forgot to eat. Like, you know how hard she was going? People will listen to her music and they see her do her dancing and stuff like that. That's a gift, but at the same time, she had to work hard. So if whoever's watching, you have to work hard. I believe that's one of the biggest keys that's stopping you from achieving the goals you need to achieve. And then finally, after you've identified your why, after you've worked your tail off, you have to find some type of consistency. This is another area where I just slack in. I have to do way better in. I can start something strong. Starting is easy. You got to build up all the energy to start, and you're going. Then you're like, I'm tired. I ain't gonna post today. I ain't gonna do it in a day. You know, and you lose that consistency. I got a really good friend. I say a really good friend. He's a friend. Nah, he's a really good friend. I have a friend of mine who lives in Houston, Texas, and I met this friend before this whole movement started. And he was a rapper. He says he's not a rapper. He was just like he was kind of a motivator, but he raps to beats and stuff like that and freestyles. And he was freestyling on different beats. And he was doing it every periodically and creating music. I would say once or twice a month. And I'm sitting back. I'm like, dang, this dude is killing it. It was only once or twice a month though. And then for whatever reason, something switched in his head. And now he does something every single Sunday. And he's been doing it for the past year and a half. You can count on every Sunday him dropping some new heat, some new bars, some new whatever the cool kids say when they're talking about rap. And what it's done is it's put him now in front of people, the radio stations that want him to come in. It's put him in front of other people that say, hey, I love your music. I think the other day, Lecrae reached out to him. And it's all because of he was consistent. He already had a gift. He was already working hard, but without that consistency, people don't get an opportunity to see you on a regular basis to know that, okay, this person's here and they're not going anywhere. So if you're a singer, you can't just make a song every now and then and be like, oh, this is it. You have to be consistent. If you create shirts or you design clothes, you have to be consistent and be willing to stay the long run to be able to do this when no one else is watching. You have to love it that much. So look, I'm super excited you guys got to come on and be a part. I don't want to just be talking to myself. I'm super excited about just what God's doing in my life. I'm super excited about what God's about to do in your life. And I truly believe that this is simply a movement of God. And I hate to sound I'm going to stop apologizing for what God has created me to do. I believe that God has used me and wants to make me a leader over this generation. So this is only just simply me walking in what God created me and called me to do. Somebody's watching here. You needed to hear this. You needed this. You need this to take that step, to get that push, to go and do what God created you to do. Don't be scared. Don't be fearful. Just walk into it with all your heart, all your passion, all your purpose, because God created you for a purpose and a plan. All we have to do is not cheat the process. So I thank you guys so much for tuning in today. I got a couple of notes I need to tell you guys before you leave. If you guys are tuning in and you want to support the movement, support the brand, we will have t-shirts available at the end of the webinar. You guys can click on the link below. You guys will actually have access to them before anybody else. Like I said, you guys will have it here. It'll be in the link below. Thank you guys so much for the people that want to support the process, want to support the brand. It means a lot, not just to me, but to the movement itself. You can purchase a t-shirt. You can share the link, do whatever you need to do. And this isn't in my notes, but I want to give away, is my wife here? I want to give away 10 free shirts. 10 free shirts. And let me tell you what you guys need to do in order to get these 10 free shirts. All you have to do is go and like our page and share our page. You'll see all of the links and stuff below. Whoever can share it and get the most interaction on Sunday, we'll pick our winners then from the page and we'll select 10 people and we'll get you guys 10 free shirts. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you guys for sharing the video. And remember, whatever you do, don't cheat the process. Peace. You set me free.
Savior. You rescue me. Yeah, you are perfect in all of your ways. You're perfect in all of your ways. Perfect in all of your ways to us. Oh, you are perfect in all of your ways, Lord. Perfect in all of your ways. Perfect in all. Perfect in all your ways to us. You're a good Father. And don't cheat your process, no, no. He's a good Father, yeah. So you can't cheat your process, no. Oh, he's perfect in all of his ways. So you can't cheat your process because you gotta be in his way. You can't cheat your process, no, because you're gonna be in his way. Thank you, Jesus, because you're setting people free. Christ, my Savior, you rescue me.